So
yeah, the little clip, and of course we'll get into it next week when we get more information, which we'll have to get over 2 episodes of television because they won't just tell us the whole fucking story. But she says that and it sounds like it happened a couple years ago, that she kissed someone else.
Listener discretion advised. Adult language and mature content.
Welcome everybody to Two Queens, One Screen podcast. I am Keeley.
And I'm Jen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for returning. If you have been with us, thank you for coming if it's your first time. So let's see, this week we're going to talk about a series finale of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City this week before we talk about our podcast. So we would like to talk about just a little snippet of the series finale, our opinion on it. So at the end, when the ladies are at the dinner table and they're reading their text messages about each other, which was horrifying. And Heather, that was the wrong game to suggest.
Heather has the worst games. Like, this is a consistent problem for her, and I love Heather.
I do.
I genuinely wish I could be her friend.
Yeah.
And not just for the cosmetic benefits of being her friend. But remember, she did the same thing. She's like, who would you let on your Oregon Trail wagon, and who would you kick off? And then everyone was a bitch to each other.
Yeah.
So this one was maybe her worst game of all time. Guys, do you know what's going to make us friends again? Is if we all say the worst things that we've ever said, and we have to show proof that we said them via text messages.
Yeah. We just wanted to talk about what Whitney said about Lisa. Everybody said something about everybody else. Whitney chose Lisa, obviously, because Whitney and Lisa are having a problem.
And they were the last ones.
Yeah.
And overall, how would you say, like, when you were watching that, some of it seemed like it actually went well and was constructive. Yeah. They read aloud what someone else said about them, and Bronwyn took it the best. She heard horrific things about her, that she was a gold digger, that her husband was 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel.
Yeah.
And that she, like, sucked her way to the top, and all of this gross stuff. God. And she cried, and she was like, but I see why you might say that, and I'm going to try and show myself in a different way so that you would not have a reason to say that about me. And some people took it in a constructive way, like she did, and I think she did the best.
Yeah.
And other people took it not as well, the worst being, you were just going to explain, Lisa and Whitney.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I said last week that I'm not a fan of Bronwyn, and I felt bad for her. That was rough to listen to. And I felt bad for her to have to listen to that. So here's the thing. I am team Lisa on this whole Whitney, Lisa situation, where Whitney showed Lisa what she wrote about her. I think Whitney is a liar, and I think Whitney is a snake. Here's the thing. Here's the difference. Everybody wrote or read, or however you want to say it, some sort of judgment about the other person. Whitney, hers was a rumor. She wanted to make this public. What she said, what she wrote, she wanted to make that public for the whole world to hear about Lisa. She even admitted it in such a way. She said, I could have said something about your looks. I could have said something about your finances, about your businesses, about this, about that. But I chose to read this. What are you doing? She absolutely knew the difference. She chose to put a rumor out there on purpose. I mean, if you think about it, season 1 or season 2, when they were in Vegas, Whitney said that horrific rumor about Lisa having that affair to get those Utah Jazz basketball tickets. She said that horrific lie about Heather, and that's why her and Heather have that problem to this day. Yep. 5 years later.
Yep.
And when Whitney said she was talking to Monica, the first thing I thought of was she was the one feeding Reality Von Teese. And then she turned it around and said that Lisa is doing it. 100%, I think it's Whitney.
So gross that she would bring Monica into this.
Yep.
Last season, so explosive because Heather, receipts, timeline, all of that. That she would go back to Monica at all after that was such a betrayal to everyone.
Yeah.
That she would go to Reality Von Teese, who is literally trying to destroy their lives, ripping people apart, I thought was so shady. Yeah. It felt very Meredith Marks to me, like she wants to do it the way that Meredith does it. Rumors. She's like, I'm not saying it, I'm just saying what people have said. There is an elevated tact that Meredith Marks has when she's doing that shit.
Yeah.
That Whitney does not have.
Yeah.
Whitney cannot touch it. And she thought that she could, but she could not. And then to act like I'm trying to squash the beef between us by saying that you're fucking around and John's into it. It took it so far. Everyone else was like, I think she's a bitch. I think she's conniving. I think she has no style. All of that stuff. I think that, one, did Lisa have a huge reaction? Yeah. I think that ideally, in an ideal world, I want Lisa to win, and I wish that she could have responded to it without completely having a full meltdown. And I think if she could have responded cool, like if she could have Meredith Marksed it, it would have been so much stronger than her melting down, because then Whitney still has this little bit of, look at her overreacting. I'm doing what we're supposed to be doing. And she can't hear it. She's the one that's keeping us from moving forward. It was the worst I have seen Whitney, and I was so disappointed in her. Yeah. Especially because 2 minutes before, she and Heather had maybe made up. And I was really hopeful for that because I thought that they were good for each other. And then I was just like, oh no, fuck off, Whitney, because you have no personal growth and you just want to get as dirty as possible.
Yeah.
Ugh. And I do think that she gets her jewelry from Alibaba.
I do too.
So.
Yeah, and I do think she returns her clothes and wears them with the tags on, 100%.
Oh, do you think Lisa does it or you think Whitney does it?
No, Whitney does it. Whitney projects.
Yeah. All of her clothes that as she was packing, they all had their tags still on. And her husband was like, what is this? And she's like, oh, it's just new. You're sending it all back.
Nope.
Which is, you're supposed to pay. You're supposed to pay for these things.
Yeah.
Christian Siriano, do you know him? He's the designer. He became initially famous because of Project Runway, which is when I started loving Bravo. I used to have Project Runway parties in my apartment, and no one was allowed to talk, but I'd have lots of people over. But yeah, no talking while it's on. I've been called out about that, and I have no shame. Shut the fuck up. We're watching my show. But Christian Siriano was asked on What Happens Live, does he dress housewives? And he's like, I don't anymore because they don't pay. Except for Bronwyn of Salt Lake City. Not only is she a fantastic customer, she always pays. And she never has any qualms about paying. I think a lot of them, and celebrities in general, once they hit a certain level, they don't really own their clothes. Stylists are bringing them in, they wear it for the event, and then it goes back. They're not expecting to pay for things anymore because it's like, well, I'm wearing it, so it's free advertising. It's like, no, that's bullshit. Pay for your shit. You have enough money, pay for it. And if you don't have enough money, wear it more than once. No one's going to freak out at you.
Yeah.
I have worn this sweater twice on this podcast.
Me too. Me too.
It's so comfy.
Well, that was very exciting. I can't wait to watch the reunion tonight. So,
I think there should be a fist fight. Like, I would watch Lisa and Whitney fight. The problem is Whitney would win a fight physically. I think Justin would take John out. Never mind, there shouldn't be a fight.
Well,
kids could fight? Boy fights?
I think that Todd on the reunion is going to take every single one of those wives straight to filth because he scares the shit out of me. Todd and Bronwyn is probably just going to creep down just like a little flower. She's going to be very scared. She's not going to say anything against Todd, and he is not going to back down. And I can't wait to watch that.
He's the scariest husband.
Oh, God, yeah.
On Real Housewives ever.
God, yeah.
Before him, I would say the scariest one would have been Shaw, Coach Shaw.
Yeah.
No one wants to disappoint Coach Shaw.
Yeah.
And then his wife goes to prison and you're like, oh, apparently you're just fine. But Todd, I think, is ruthless and super, super smart, which is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So good.
All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about The Last Resort, Season 2, Episode 8. They called it Last Minute Invitation. Good God, everybody. Okay, I know. Big, gigantic eye roll. It's basically the party at the honeymoon suite with Brandon and Julia. Confrontation with Florian and Jasmine in the hot tub.
Again, I'm genuinely getting a little bored of it.
Can I say that I think the Between the Sheets was more interesting and gave us more information than this goddamn episode?
Yes. Give me a 2-hour episode where you do it chronologically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
And where are the therapists? Why did they have to bring in a new therapist? I'm mad at... Is it TLC?
Somebody. I don't know.
I would produce this show so well. I would save them so much money. No one would be in a Sprinter van. They'd all stay on the resort. They'd be talking to therapists every effing day.
Well, I mean, they did play therapy in the sand.
2 of them did. 2
couples. I wish they could have had actual therapy with Sophie and Rob, because in Between the Sheets, Sophie and Rob actually talked about some therapy issues, and Sophie actually gave us some information about it, but I mean, fuck.
Well, let's just start with them.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Sandbox therapy. We've got Rob and Sophie, Florian and Stacey, and they're the only couples that get to do this. I love that in Between the Sheets, Josh was real butthurt that he wasn't invited to that. Josh, you weren't even on the resort anymore. Fuck off. I'm mad at everyone. Somebody check a calendar. I was just like so irritated.
I watched it from the window.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, pissy little bitch. So the idea of sandbox therapy, they bring in this therapist who is a hypnotherapist, spiritual healer woman. She actually seemed cool as shit. And she brings these sandboxes. It's like a tray of sand, and it's got all of these different kinds of toys. She gives them these prompts. The first one is, show me something humorous in your relationship. A time where you guys, it was really, really fun and funny. The couples have to depict that moment with toys. And I don't even remember what the stories were, other than the one that really stuck out to me was Sophie went with Rob to Spain to visit her family. And apparently they went to like a petting zoo or something, and all the animals got loose and chased Rob, the goat full on chased Rob.
Yep.
That is what the camera should be there for.
Yeah.
Then they have to talk about the problems in the relationship. Where are the friction in the relationship? Show that via the toys in the sandbox. And Rob goes first, and his attitude is fuck it, because I don't know if you remember, he had a bad night where he took his leftovers and decided to walk a mile in the rain because he didn't want to be in the van with everybody anymore because he was being a dick. So he's still pissy is what we've learned.
Yeah.
And he depicts Sophie and Rob getting married. And then there is a trash can behind them. Over on the other side is teeny little baby Sophie, then a rhinoceros, and then a golden treasure chest. And he explains that her mom is the rhino and the trash bin who is causing a lot of issues in their relationship. And it all stems from her being a young mom who was also an addict and Sophie kind of raised herself. When her mom is good, she's like her favorite person. They get along incredibly. It's the most important person in her life. And then when her mom's not doing well, because she's an addict and there's ebbs and flows of her sobriety, and how Sophie basically had to coddle her mom and cower down to her mom and whatever she was going through at the time, which may or may not have any place in reality or sense of logic to it, which is similar to how she has to deal with Rob. And she connects those, which I thought was great. But you see her really take that in from him. Instead of her lashing kind of back out immediately, she does accept that, like, yeah, the way that my relationship is with my mom and the way that my mom deals with you, Rob, can be very negative on our relationship. And that outside force is really affecting us. Oh, how did you feel watching that part of it?
Well, obviously he was coming in hot, like you said. Oh, yeah. He was already pissed off. They walked in separately at separate times. His face was just mad and scrunched up the whole time. He sat with his arms crossed the entire time. I don't even think they looked at each other the entire time. While he was describing the scene, she was crying. I think it hurt her feelings, which it would hurt my feelings too to hear that. But you're right. I think she connected the dots for their marriage. But what I thought about it is, if he knows all of that, why isn't he helping her? Why isn't he giving her any sort of grace? Why aren't they going to counseling? Why isn't he taking a step back? He is older than she is. Significantly. I mean, I'm not talking 17 years older, but he's older than she is. Why does he make it her fault all the time? He never takes responsibility for anything. All he does is plop the blame on her completely for everything. And I'm not saying she's blameless. That's not what I'm saying. What I took away from that is if he knows all of that, why does he not help her? She admits, look, I don't play as a team, like you said. She sat there and admitted, look, when I came here, I was putting all the blame, 100% of the blame on him, which I thought was magnificent that she said that out loud. Like, that's super adult and super mature to say that. But for her to realize all of those things that she said in between the sheets, right? She had to raise herself. Her mother was her friend. Her mother was never around. Her mother was an addict. People in that environment a lot of times don't realize that. They don't realize that environment that's going on around them.
Right. Until
they're in a relationship with another person that turns the mirror around and shows it to them.
Sure.
And then that person says, you're this, you're this, you're this, and you're that. And then you're like, I am? He turns it around and says all of these things that are bad about her. And she's like, oh, okay. This is why it gets me so upset. He says all these bad things that she's doing, which I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that it's right.
Sure.
Please don't get me wrong. But why doesn't he try to help her?
So, not that I want to be on Rob's side. However, I do think this is not a new thing. One of the reasons they said this sand therapy was such a great idea, actually, Rob and Sophie are the ones that pointed out why this was such a fantastic exercise for them, was that they weren't really having to do the whole conversation through words.
Yeah.
Because the way that they say things will set the other off. So this actually gave them the opportunity to bypass some of that. Rob is dealing with having the same things brought up over and over and over again. He probably has tried to be supportive over time, and I think he's putting in the work over and over, and it's not, he's still ending up right back at square one, is the sense that I'm getting from what he's talking about. And I think he's frustrated. The therapist points out that Rob isn't comforting Sophie during this exercise.
Yeah.
He's watching her cry.
Yeah.
And her take on it was, Rob, is dealing with a broken record. This is something that's been brought up before and there hasn't been a solution. There hasn't been change. As someone who grew up with a mom who was like that, not addiction, but like my mom was in charge of everything.
Yeah.
And my mom wanted us to be a team, and then significant others were periphery. It took me genuinely years before I saw, no, Matt is now my immediate family. This is my immediate family that I'm choosing, and you're part of it to whatever degree we're comfortable with. You don't get to dictate this. We together dictate the interactions that we're going to have. And that becomes so hard because when a parent like Natalie's mom is so codependent on her child, and you are more friends with your kid than you are a parent.
Yeah.
That fucks up everything for a long time. And it also messes with relationships with significant others for the parents and for the kids long term.
Yeah.
And that is why I treat my kids like kids, and I'm mean to them all the time.
Yeah. Well, just remember what you said.
Yeah.
When your kids grow up, right, and you want to be in your kids' lives, think about that, because I have that. My child is a grown-up, and I try and be in her life. And I get told I'm not her family. So, just so you know, listen to yourself. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to say what you said is wrong. Not saying that. That's not what I said. But what I'm telling you is I get told that I'm not her family anymore to my face. I don't understand that.
That's a little mean.
Okay.
You say it nicer.
Okay. But that's basically what you just said.
Yeah, and I do stand by it. I think not that you're not family, but you are not the immediate household. There's like ring theory.
Well, I get that. That. So when Sam and Henry grow up and they look at you and go, sorry, Mom, you're not my family anymore. She or he is my family. Try and remember that and don't get upset.
I think, well,
okay.
As we're older now and dealing with, I'm in the middle stage of it. Yeah. I can only see all the things that I'm like, I know what I'm not going to do as a mother-in-law. Well. But I think that it's hard. I think all of it and changing roles and things evolving and family systems and shapes changing, I don't think that that's going to be comfortable for anyone ever. But I think specifically in the dynamic where Sophie and her mom are best friends and not mom and daughter. That becomes where the mom is like, and we saw it in their season where the mom is like this and does not want to let Sophie go. He's not good enough for you. I'm the one that's going to be protecting you. I'm better for you than this. You should stay with me. She doesn't want her to grow. Sophie, I think half the reason that Sophie left and married Rob was to, even whether it was conscious or not, because she loves her mom. Right? She thinks that her mom's amazing. I think she wanted to kind of redefine herself. And marriage is like, I'm not myself. I'm a wife now. That's a whole different thing. And the problem is that she hasn't, just because her title has changed, she hasn't done the emotional growth. To do that on her own. And her mom doesn't want her, just because your title's changed, you are exactly the same person and you can't change. And I think that that's where her and Rob are battling it out for, I'm her partner. And that is not how it should work. Is what I'm seeing. And I can relate to that. Where my mom did not want to see me partnered with someone else because she's the person. She wanted to be my person and I'm her person kind of thing. Does that make sense? So I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to be, I ideally hope to be very supportive of them having their person. You know?
Of course. Of course you will be. I'm not saying you won't be. I'm saying your sons, either one of them or both, will have an opinion. Their spouse, their partner, their significant other, they will have an opinion and turn around and look at you and go, sorry. They're my family. You're not family anymore.
my vote's not going to count.
Nope.
Yeah.
They will say that to your face.
Yeah. I mean, I have preteens, so they're already trying to explain to me that my vote doesn't count right now.
Oh, it's not even a fraction of what it is right now.
It's going to be that times a million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, so they end up going... Let's see. We don't actually really see them anymore in the episode.
They don't.
Because most of this episode is about the honeymoon party that Julie throws.
Yeah.
They go back to their own room at the resort and they both get in PJs. It seems like they both felt like they had this little bit of moving forward, even though that was really hard and emotionally exhausting. They both felt like there was progress there. And you could see them being more tender with each other. She gets into PJs and he burritos her into the comforter and squeezes her all in. And he's going to let her relax for the night and he's going to go to the party. And I thought that was quite sweet for her and supportive of her. And she was like letting herself be relaxed with him and letting herself be open with him. That was really nice to see that they maybe chipped away at some of what was pushing them apart.
Yeah, I like that too. And I like that the therapist said these problems for both of those couples were from outside sources and they need to leave those problems over there and start from fresh from today and just work on themselves, the couple, the therapy between the two, and have boundaries with the outside sources. And I really liked that. And they all agreed to do that. And I think that's really necessary to have these boundaries with the problem outside sources. Focus on either the communication that they have a problem with and the outside source doesn't matter anymore, right? We're not going to argue about Sophie's mom, or we're not going to argue about Darcey with Stacey and Florian, right? We're going to just work on our communication with each other and how we talk to each other. I thought that was good.
The way I think about it is, this is within the last couple years of therapy, like just being on the same team as your partner.
Yeah.
So like other stuff is happening. When it comes to someone like Sophie's mom, it becomes a triangle where everyone is on the same. And it can't be that way. It can't. And we'll talk about it in a second, but when Stacey and Darcey and Florian are all on the same level, it should be Stacey and Florian, and then they're dealing with Darcey. Not Darcey can triangulate between them. It's just really, really a hard thing to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Especially when Sophie's dealing with her mother, who has been her mother her entire life. And Stacey is dealing with Darcey, who is her twin sister. They've been sisters their entire life.
Yeah.
Do you want to go? We'll just go right into Stacey and Florian.
Yeah.
Because they are the only other couple who were at the sandbox therapy.
Yeah.
We got to hear a little snippet about it in the preview last week, but I think Florian is so closed off. And he's like, when I was growing up, I didn't need imagination. There were kids running around, so I'd play with other kids. And I'm like, yeah, what were you playing?
Right.
You were playing pretend.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I don't have imagination. I never played with myself. Like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Florian.
Stacey
made me laugh because she made the comment that she was very surprised at how emotional she got. Stacey, you were emotional constantly.
Oh, yeah. I think
she's like, I was so shocked that I was so emotional. I was like, no one else was. Nobody else was surprised by that.
No, I think Stacey wants and craves something emotional to connect to. That's, I think one of the counselors or therapists said that, right? Because Florian was so surface level, that then Stacey feels connected to him again. And then it's this weird circle that they just stay in and they don't get deeper and they don't fix their problem.
No, because it scratches the itch. So Florian does the sandbox therapy and he depicts the connection that they have is his sister and her brother.
Yeah.
And they both have siblings who have passed away. And he felt very close to her brother as well. So that was really hard for him. And so they both have supported each other through this very significant losses.
Yeah.
then also they're dealing with the family unit is so important. She's got kids. She was very close with her parents. She depicts a very happy childhood, traveling around the world, and how lovely all that was and great. And then how she connects with him. When he says something about their family passing and how close he is to her family, that scratches that itch for her of family is the most important thing. It is the foundation of our relationship. And so they connect on that. That triggers her to feel a lot of emotion, and they stop there.
Yeah.
Instead of going farther into the other things, they go, oh, we've reconnected on this. And they're so busy in this heightened state of reconnecting that they're not actually dealing with any of the problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was a really interesting point because it seemed like when I was watching it, I went, oh, look at them. They're doing so great. And the therapist was like,
nope.
Not enough. This isn't nearly.
Look at this guy.
But it was like the other part of me, this is going back to they should hire me as a producer. What the hell? You're right there, therapist. Tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have that fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Move them forward. Move them through. Address it.
Yeah.
And instead what she does, and you can see it hit Stacey in the eyeball, is when she's like, you know, their issue right now does circle around Darcey. Darcey will be in Miami with them. She wants to go out and go clubbing. She goes out and goes clubbing with Florian without Stacey. Stacey's like, I'm old. I go to bed. But Darcey, who is her twin sister, is going out with Florian and apparently said to her, can you imagine? Darcey said to Florian, you would be better off single.
Yeah.
You should break up with my sister. She's married, but for some reason she wants Florian to herself or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But as they have that conversation, the therapist's reaction is, well, maybe we need to have some family therapy and we should bring your sister out to deal with this. And you can just see Stacey going, this was about me and Florian.
Yeah.
And now I have to bring my sister into it. Hopefully it's helpful, but I feel like they glossed over a lot before they were like, bring Darcey in.
Yeah.
That's just gasoline on the fire, in my opinion. I would love to be proved wrong. I would love to watch the episode where they bring Darcey in and they have a breakthrough, and I go, oh, God, what amazing therapy. I'm so glad they did that. I don't have a feeling I will.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think they have quite a problem. I think a lot of their problem is their age difference because he's got anger issues like we saw. And I think, like Jasmine pointed out, she mothers him because of the age difference. And I think it's a culture thing where he's not quite sure maybe of what's going on, maybe in whatever situation is happening. So she probably has to explain it to him. He gets frustrated, you know, his anger pops up, and then, you know, there's some sort of situation. I think that's probably a lot of their problem is their age difference. That creates a huge issue, I think, in relationships. 17 years is quite a big difference. Stick a culture right in the middle of that. I don't know anything about Albania. I have no idea about that.
So my very ignorant understanding, I don't have a deep understanding of it either. However, what I'm gleaning from this is that they do have this very like stoic, strong man identity. I think that that is something that is attractive to Stacey because she comes from this Jersey, New York, and she does it all the time in the scenes where she's like, what you doing? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, but she's attracted to that.
Yeah.
And he's got that vibe to him. The other side of the coin is that he does have these anger issues. So he's like, I believe in respect.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in the evening, he is drunk. There's a massive hot tub. I have never seen a hot tub that big.
I know.
They're in a pool.
It's pool.
That is a hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go. I want to go to there. They're at the pool. They're drinking. They're both like a little edgy, but they're trying to pretend that they're relaxing and having a drink. But you can tell there's tension there.
Yeah.
And he is like, I'm not going. No one invited me to this party. Everyone's going to this party. No, I'm not dressed for a party. So, you're in a robe and a swimsuit. But he's clearly inebriated.
Yeah.
And so when Julia's like, come on. And he's like, no one invited me.
Yep.
I don't know about this fucking party.
Yep.
Julia had, when they won the row and throw competition, and they're all going back to the Sprinter vans to go get in a fight at the saloon, she's like, everybody, we are going to have a party. Let's all enjoy it together. Like, let's all have a party at the thing tomorrow night. He didn't hear that. And actually, they show in the Between the Sheets a quick little clip of him. And he's like in the middle of changing and drying off.
Yeah.
So it's 100% possible he didn't hear. But then no one brought it up to him again. And he finds this offensive. He's like, what's wrong with people? Don't text me. Yeah. You call me on the phone. We should have a conversation face to face. Why don't people write letters anymore? And I think it's like this old school macho mentality that Stacey's actually very attracted to.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin of that is he has not done any work on his anger issues because those serve him very well in that kind of culture, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I could see him as a character in The Sopranos.
Sure.
Like, that fits right in.
Sure.
And she doesn't like that part of it. And she will get right up in his face and scream right back. Mm-hmm. I want them to see that. And I don't think they can because I don't think that's either of their cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's a U.S. citizen, but she's also very, like, Jersey.
Yeah.
Which is a different culture than our Make Sweet Midwest.
Yeah, I don't know that he believes in this whole therapy thing either. I honestly don't know if he understands what it is, really. Also, he doesn't really like talking about feelings. He really doesn't like drama. He really hates it when she cries or gets emotional in any way. He says the word family and he knows she's going to cry. Sometimes he probably uses it to his benefit to get her to either stop or shut up or, put out or something. He probably knows that is a trigger word for him, but I don't think he would use therapy in the correct way to ever get better or do something different.
I think you're right. I think he doesn't see the value to him in it. No. But to his credit, he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he's there.
He's there and he's participating. Yeah. Is he immersed in it? No, but he's going through it with her and he's supporting her through it. I think he wants to support her. I don't think he totally understands the concept of this because I don't think that's something that he's seen anybody really participate in a real way.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he keeps, she says there's allegations of cheating. He's cheated in the past, whatever is going on. But, if he's doing that or has done that, I'm not surprised by any of that because if he's out doing all of these things with Darcey or with that younger crowd, they live in Miami, for God's sake. I'm not surprised by any of that. If his culture is this macho man, I'm going to go do what I want, and he's younger, and she's in bed asleep, and she pays for everything.
I just had a really awful thought. He has his wife.
Yeah.
He has Stacey, who mothers him, takes care of everything, does the grocery shopping, the bills, pays.
Yeah.
He also has her literal twin to go clubbing with. He's got both versions of this woman.
Yeah.
How far has that gone with Darcey? It's wrong of us to speculate.
Sure.
But they're fucking.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. But yeah, so he gets nasty about not getting invited to the party at the pool hot tub. And he's clearly drunk. And Julia's like, I'm not getting involved in this.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna let this escalate. But Jasmine's like, I will. So Jasmine goes running out and gets into a screaming fight with him. Mm-hmm. Brandon's like, I thought he was coming. What's going on? And so he tries to mediate it. Brandon's already pretty drunk. Florian's drunk. And Brandon's trying to calm Florian down while Florian's screaming at everyone. And then Jasmine comes in and screams even more. And it's just so funny because Florian can't hear himself when he's saying, why do none of you have respect? You fucking bitch! And Stacey's sitting there seething because she does see the irony in that.
Yeah.
But they end up not going to the party, and that bums Stacey out. And she says, I feel nasty. He brings this nastiness out in me. And she's looking at him, and just the contempt on her face. I don't think I want to be married to someone like you. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be with someone like this. And she just says it directly, and it was like, oh. But she was pissed, and that's where that came from.
Yeah, I can see Stacey, right brain, left brain, quite a bit with him, right? I can see her vacillating back and forth. She has this, why do I be married to you? You ruin everything. You have anger issues. Why am I here sitting doing nothing and not being in the party having fun? And then he says the word family, and she's like, I'm so connected to you. Our whole life is about family. I just think she's completely confused about everything with him. I feel so bad for her.
It's sad that so little means so much.
Oh, God, her. Yeah. Totally.
Like that little bit erases all the bad.
Yep.
But then they start all over right over again. They're not learning. It's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of at the poolside, do you want to go on to Gino and Jasmine?
Oh, Lord. Sure.
Moving on to the other fight partner at the hot tub pool is Jasmine. Jasmine had gone to the party. She was the first person over with Brandon and Julia. The first person to show up. And we'll get to that. Gino goes to the pool party with Florian and Stacey first. They love each other. And you and I have thrown around the word bromance.
Yeah.
Stacey also threw that word around, and Florian didn't appreciate it.
No, I don't think he understood it, but I think he also didn't like it once he thought about it. His macho mind did not appreciate what she was insinuating.
But everybody sees it.
Yep.
Florian just wants to make Gino smile, and just being around Florian makes Gino so happy. Getting that attention from Florian.
Yep.
Gino is the happiest that he is when he's with Florian. And they're a fun little odd couple.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see them play around, and Benny shows up too. By the way, Benny and Ari are literally nothing in this episode. We don't see them. We see Ari make some shitty comments in between the sheets, but doesn't show up. Benny is just there to party. And have fun with everyone. Pretty normal for him.
Yeah.
But Gino and Jasmine had gotten into that fight earlier, and they're hinting about it or giving little details about it to everyone else separately. Hearing Gino's version of the fight was just really lame. And it looks like we're going to get more of his side and more of him explaining it to everyone next episode. But when they do both get into the party together after Jasmine has a massive fight with Florian, and Florian calls her a chihuahua, which she likes. Yeah. She likes that. They end up in the suite together. It's now actually become a party in the honeymoon suite. And they're both like, hello. Oh, how are you doing tonight? It's good to see you. You look nice. Or other people are prompting each other. Yeah. Prompting them to say nice things to each other, and they're, hello. It's cold and awkward. Yeah. It's like being in high school again, and your ex is at a party. Yeah. You dated for 2 weeks and held hands once. Yeah. So juvenile. Yeah. And I know they've all been drinking, but do you devolve that far? It was disappointing. However, Julia was really enjoying Jasmine. Jasmine had gotten to the honeymoon suite first, as I was saying. Brandon is dressed up in a robe with his name embroidered on it. Yeah. And was wearing, like, aviators because he gets told he looks like a young Tom Cruise. Do you see he looks like a young Tom Cruise? No. I think he looks like a young Mitch McConnell. Yeah. I don't see Tom Cruise. But apparently it happens a lot. Julia looks great, and he's like, we're in the honeymoon suite. We should have sex. look they put rose petals on the bed. And she's like, no, we're going to have a party. And he's disappointed by that. And Jasmine gets there. She's like, oh, did you guys already have sex? Look, the petals got messed up. And he's like, no, I got denied. She was like, well, what are you doing? And she and Julia are already in, like, party mode. And she's like, but did you kiss her neck? Did you touch her? I can't say it the way that she said it, but she did say it in the sexiest way. That's a solid point.
Yeah.
What are you doing to seduce her other than saying, we're in a honeymoon suite. Let us fuck.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, like, get her in the mood. And I thought that was an excellent point. And Jasmine's like, I should be a sex therapist.
Yeah.
And she's trying to teach him how to romance her. And he starts being like, we're just not. I want it so bad. I love you. You're so hot. We should be having sex. And he thinks that's a valid argument. And her going like, oh my God, I'm going to slide off my chair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's not how it works. And they start to try and explain it to him. But they're also a little bit drunk. And he's like, I would do anything. Tell me what I have to do. And she's like, okay, dance for me. And he's like, well, not that. Jasmine teaches him how to give her a lap dance, which is fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that actually seemed to do okay.
Yep.
They're all having a fun time.
Yep.
But then he, I think, showed too much weakness in this. And so then they started shaving his armpits.
I don't know. Show too much weakness? What does that mean?
I mean, he was like, I just want it. I'll do anything. And if you're I'll do anything, I'm going to shave your armpits. This sounds fun.
I think they were just being mean to him.
They were picking on him so bad.
Yeah.
So the two things I want to talk about. One, he got that robe in Dubai. Did you hear him talking about that? I
did hear him talking about that. And their reaction to the honeymoon suite was over the top. If you've been to fucking Dubai and you had that reaction to a suite in Arizona, stop it. I mean, you've been to Dubai, dude.
They're giving their explanation of the Dubai trip.
Yeah.
They show up to wherever it is, the resort they're in the Dubai. It's his birthday.
Right.
They have embroidered silk robes for them. Mm-hmm. They have a birthday cake where they had taken images from their Instagram and put them on a cake. He's like, it's like a 7-star experience. What? Mm-hmm. I've seen where you lived with your mom.
Yep.
How did you get that? I want to go to Dubai. Mm-hmm. Apparently I can if he can.
Yeah.
We can't.
Unbelievable.
I can't. Seems insane to me.
Yeah.
Those things didn't match up. And then the other thing, as they're doing these shenanigans, running around, making him dance, shaving his armpit, him whining about not getting laid, Julia trying to, like, say, okay, maybe.
Yep.
Jasmine, in between the sheets, alleges, she tells a producer and then she tells Brandon this story, that in between they're changing out a card or something, there's like a little teeny break. Julia grabs Jasmine and shoves her into a bathroom with her. And before Jasmine even knew what was happening, Julia's tongue is down her throat and they are making out. And Julia was like, listen, I've never kissed a girl before. I just want to know what it's like. And Jasmine's like, well, I needed to make a good first impression.
Yep.
And so they had a little tiny secret makeout that no one knew about until between the sheets. Mm-hmm. And then they ask Julia, and Julia laughs her ass off and goes, no. Who is lying?
I think Jasmine is lying, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
Because in between the sheets, Julia and Sophie are talking about having sex and giving blowjobs. Oh. Mm-hmm. And Julia says, I don't like having sex. I think sex is kind of, I'd rather just give blowjobs and be done with it. And Sophie's like, what? Really? Right? I'd rather have sex than give blowjobs. Like, I'm going to give a blowjob. I want to have sex afterwards. Really? So they have this discussion.
Yeah.
And I don't think Julia kissed Jasmine based on that discussion.
And her laugh when she was like, no. And she wasn't even angry about it.
Yeah.
She was like, no. There's Jasmine being Jasmine. Of course I didn't. So yeah, I didn't really believe her. And then, but how sad. Like, not sad. Not here to pass judgment. So much judgment. she's like, I'm not really into sex. I just didn't enjoy it. You hear it and you go, oh, that means a little bit more in this whole weird Brandon and Julia not having sex. And then I remembered she was a virgin.
Yeah.
When she and Brandon got together.
Yeah.
So probably after seeing him dancing, I'm fairly certain that he's just really bad in bed.
Yeah.
And maybe Jasmine could help them. Maybe Jasmine could help them.
Sure. Well, Julia said that Sophie is more her type than Jasmine. If she were to kiss a girl, it'd probably be Sophie, not Jasmine. I think, plus, if she just wants to give a blowjob and not have sex, right? She'd rather do that. I mean...
Do you think she's asexual? Like, maybe it's just like...
I don't know. I mean, did you... There was a little clip at the end where they said next time on, where they have Brandon and Julia talking. They're in a group therapy.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're implying that Julia kissed someone or Brandon kissed someone.
No, it's Julia.
Okay, that's what I thought. Cheating. Yeah. So
the little clip, and of course we'll get into it next week when we get more information, which we'll have to get over 2 episodes of television because they won't just tell us the whole fucking story. But she says that and it sounds like it happened a couple years ago, that she kissed someone else.
Yeah. And
he's like devastated. And Jasmine is in between the sheets going, Julia should have taken that to the grave. So that'll be a fun discussion next week when you and I decide whether or not she should have told him.
Yeah. So like you said, I'm wondering if he's just bad in bed and she maybe stepped out somehow, somewhere, or just doesn't like sex because of him. I don't know.
Brandon is so earnest and so eager.
Sure.
But not in a way that it all makes you would entice me to want to sleep with him.
And he
sounds like a whiny little boy.
So here's the thing. Your partner can be really bad in bed, but the way that you're having the act could be the problem. You got to spice it up a little. Do something different. If we're talking missionary, then that's terrible. We got to do a different position. Or add a toy, right? I'm just saying there are other ways to enjoy the bedroom. If your partner is terrible at one thing, just do something different and maybe it would be enjoyable with your partner.
Sure. But do you think, looking at how he treated her when she was dancing on the floor, if she was doing that at home, I think he'd still be like, what are you doing? Stop it. Like, I think he would still be a prude about it. And I think he has an idea of how he wants her to behave, that I think he would be overwhelmed by her sexuality and try and squash it down.
Well, but when he's drinking and he's Joseph.
Oh, Joseph.
Do you think he's still like that? Because that's what Rob said, right?
I don't know. I think Joseph was still embarrassing. Joseph was fine with getting his armpit shaved.
I don't know. I think maybe give him a little bit of credit. I think he'd be okay. But you're right. The tight butthole Brandon pulled her down off of, right, the bar. But when he loosens up a little bit, I'm not saying he has to be drunk all the time to have sex with her. But if he loosens up a little bit, and plus, like I said a couple weeks ago, if your partner is happy and is enjoying whatever is going on, I think you are happy, right? You're enjoying what's going on. So he sees that she's happy. Maybe he's going to be happy, right? And he kind of said that, right? What do you want? What do you like? I want to do whatever you want. He's already eager. Just tell me what you want.
But there's this other saying that I heard recently, which is foreplay starts the second the last orgasm ended. So all of that. Yeah. So you got laid and now you're immediately laying the groundwork for next time.
Yeah.
Are you helping out around the house? Not even helping around the house.
Yeah.
It's your house too.
Yeah.
Are you carrying your weight? Are you being supportive? Are you being romantic and engaged and not just going, oh, I feel like I have a boner. when are we going to take care of this? It's a constant.
Yeah.
It should be something that you're engaging in.
Yeah.
Maybe not even necessarily sexually. Are you taking the trash out?
Yeah.
Did you help her pick up after the dogs?
Yeah.
Were you there for her when she was crying about her mom? Mm. That's all the shit. Yeah. She's clearly doing it for him.
Yeah. I don't know.
So that's where my issue goes. But party mode, they made a deal. This is the other part that kind of bummed me out. They literally go, listen, first we have party, then sex. Like, they made a decision and they shook on it. It was a bummer that she was like, oh, it's second nature for her for sex to be transactional in that way. I'll give you what you want, but I get to have my party first, okay? Yeah. Ugh, nope. Wrong energy, dude.
Yeah.
So, that was a bummer.
Yeah.
But seemed like the party was fun, other than awkward Gino and Jasmine. And then Natalie comes in.
Natalie walks in. And
she looked like such a sweet little prairie girl. She's got this little frilly top dress and her big old cowboy boots. She's been trying to call Josh. Josh, after sex therapy, disappeared.
Yeah.
And he's not answering. And the producer's like, wait, he left? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, what if you call him? And she's like, it goes to voicemail. See? So he's just disappeared. So at least he was there to watch someone else have sand therapy, and then otherwise, who knows?
What my question is, why is the show letting him leave? Like, I know they're not holding him hostage or anything, but he signed up to be on a show and he's in and out. I don't understand this. I don't understand what we're doing with him. He just gets to leave and come and go. Who is he? Right. And she comes in. She's so doe-eyed. Her eyes are very wide. It
felt very put on.
I don't know. I feel bad for her. I don't know.
Well, very similar to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Brandon, actually with good intentions, he heathered the shit out of this.
He did.
He was like, you know what Josh told me? He just...
Let's play a game. Let's tell the truth.
Let's play a game. I'm going to say the worst shit about you. So basically what happened is Brandon thought, I'm going to tell her what he's not happy about because it doesn't seem like he's explained it to her. I'm going to explain it to her and I'm going to fix their relationship. And he genuinely thought that. Everyone else was like, fuck Natalie, and went, we'll jump on this game. Mm-hmm. So Brandon's like, I was talking to Josh, and he said that what he's really craving is stability. And the problem is that you're like all over the place. And Natalie goes, but what does that mean? And immediately Julie and Jasmine go, you're crazy. Me too crazy. And she's like, what do you mean? Me crazy? She knows. But Brandon genuinely was trying to fix this and to be helpful. And everyone's like, well, this is what Josh told me. Someone said, I don't want to get serious with Natalie because she's going to take all of my money and my business.
What?
I thought that was a little bizarre. And he's telling different people different things. They all kind of sound like the same thing in my mind. Mm-hmm. Like she's insane and she's trying to take over my life. Mm-hmm. Natalie hears it as, all of you guys are saying different things. So why doesn't he tell the same story to everyone? In between the sheets, she said that one time she had suggested to him that she wanted to bring him a cake to his house. And he said that he would file a restraining order against her. Ugh. And she's like laughing at that. Like, that's a funny story.
Yeah.
And they were like, do you think he really would? And she's like, I don't know, maybe. If that's something that's seriously happening in your relationship, here's your sign.
I know she acts crazy. I know she's all over the place, but I will say this till I'm dead. She does this because he makes her crazy. And I know she is not innocent. He tells people different stories about her and about their relationship and says story A to person 1, story B to person 2, story C to person the 3 to story C, because he won't commit to her, because he's a piece of shit, because he uses her for sex. He's been in a relationship for 3 years. All she's asking for is to name whatever they are. All she's asking for is to be some part of his life. That's it. To be something. That's it.
More than just a hole.
That's it. Right?
And he doesn't even want to get breakfast with her
Nope.
in the morning.
Nope.
But she keeps getting sucked back in.
Yep.
And I think part of that is that he finances a lot of things for her. Nobody here is innocent.
No.
But at the same time, I think he picked someone that their flaws are egregious enough that he can kind of hide his underneath.
100%. Yeah. It makes him look good and it makes her look bad. And he can just go have sex with her whenever he feels like it and dump her to the side of the curb. And he looks wonderful and she looks terrible. And I think it's disgusting. I feel terrible for her because a lot of the time she doesn't understand what's going on.
No. Well, I don't think she's as dumb as she looks. I think that she's emotionally stunted. So I think that she is comfortable going around in these circles instead of evolving past it. She keeps getting dragged back into it. That's a choice she's making. She's choosing not to move forward.
But why is it her choice to do that? He keeps calling her.
Then you don't answer. You don't go back. Don't go back. Don't let him have sex with you and not have breakfast with you in the morning. Once he does that 5 times, he's not going to have breakfast with you. That's not the kind of sex I like to have. I like Eggs Benedict after I get dick down. I think that's a solid thing to ask for. But if she has those expectations and she's begging him for them and he's saying, no, you learn, okay, I'm not going to get what I need out of this. We break up. But then he calls again and she goes back to it. She's 39. She should have learned a lesson after 3 years.
So it's her fault.
No, he's a dick. But he's such a dick that you need to stay away. If you touch the stove,
how can you stay away if he's going to keep calling her? That's not her fucking fault that he's a dick.
You can block a phone number. You don't have to get involved. You don't have to participate. But she's participating every time. And then he winds her up. And so it's she knows that he sets her off. She calls it out. I say I'm done and I'm not going to do this anymore. She doesn't mean it because she's going right back to it. So she's not being strong in her own words. She wants to be able to move on, but she goes back. He can call her. She doesn't have to answer. He doesn't answer half the time. She doesn't have to answer either.
So why is it okay that he calls her? Why is it okay that he uses her?
It's horrific that he's using her. It's horrific. It's not okay. They're both
But
bad.
You're saying that she should hang up. You're saying that she should end the relationship. You're saying that she should not have sex with her. Not once did you say he should never have sex with her again. No. Not once did you say he should not be in a relationship with her. It was...
No, he's fully using her.
Yeah.
No, I think it's awful that he's using her. I think he's slimy and gross and he's making her look insane.
But she's the one that should end the relationship. That's what I don't agree with.
Well, he's getting what he wants from the relationship. He's getting laid, and he doesn't want to invite her into anything else. He's getting exactly what he wants and giving her
every bad relationship that is continually on between a man and a woman, the woman should end the relationship. That's what you're saying.
No.
Because that's what's going on.
No. No. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying it takes 2 to tango.
Right.
He's going to be a shit.
So
if somebody is being a shit, they can go do that on their own. You don't have to participate in it, is what I'm saying. So she's broken up with him. And she said, we're done. Mm-hmm. And then he calls and she goes back. If he calls and she goes back and then he does the same thing again where he doesn't give her access to his life, he's showing up, having sex, and then leaving and going, well, I gave you money to get your nails done, so leave me alone. And she's like, that's not enough. I'm not doing this. I'm breaking up with you. It's just they're both participating in this growth cycle. But in the end, he gets what he wants every single time. And that's
Her fault?
Gross. Like, if she participates...
it's her fault that he calls, that he's a dick.
She's knows that he's going to do that. If you touch a hot stove and you burn your hand and you go, oh my God, if you turn the stove on and you look at it and go, oh, that's hot. Do you touch it again? No, don't touch it anymore. She's touching the hot stove. I think that's what I'm seeing. And I think that she's smart. I think that she is an intelligent person. I think she's being willfully obtuse when it comes to this relationship for some reason. And I don't get it. Because she'll talk about it. I see how I'm being an idiot here. I see, you know what else he did? Like, she'll start talking about it and you go, she sees it and she knows it and she hears it. But then she does it again and again and again. So everyone has their part to play in this. He's awful. She's going back for more in this when I don't think that she has to. She's hearing what he's saying to all of these people and going, where is he? He won't tell you that you're his girlfriend. He'll tell you he will not have a family with you. You want to be a mom. He's not going to let you near his kids. There's such an insane disconnect there for him that makes me go like, she knows better. If she knows that Sophie is lazy for Rob, she should know that he is garbage for her, I think.
Okay.
I just don't think I think she lives in a fantasy world where he's going to suddenly be better or someone's going to save her and give her the life that she wants. And she's hoping that it's Rob, but he's doing nothing but showing her over and over again that he won't.
She just keeps admitting she's not asking for too much. She just wants him to say, what am I? She says, it's been 3 years. I'm not asking for too much. I'm just saying, what am I to you? That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. I don't think that she is being insane. She actually explained it, I think, really well when she was like, he's not answering the phone. He disappears and he ghosts me. Then it looks like I'm crazy because I'm like, where are you? Mm-hmm. And he doesn't talk to me for days. Mm-hmm. And that is a normal thing for him. If you don't want to put up with that, you have to draw a line. If you want to say, I can't deal with this anymore. And he's already said, no, you get what you get. I'm a busy businessman. Mm-hmm. Crypto. Investments. Rental, you know?
Crypto.
Didn't you say that? Or
something weird like that.
Something weird.
I don't know.
Fucking Josh. Whenever he gets on Between the Sheets and he's trying to tell you like what he thinks about someone else's relationship, I just want to fast forward. Ugh. I hate to hear his feelings on anything.
Oh yeah. It's always weird.
I think, was it Julia who was like, what do you think he's doing? Was it Julia or Ari? Someone asks her, is he hiding something? What is he hiding?
Oh, yeah.
Is he, he's not secretly married. He's on TV, so his wife would know about this. What, or if he had another girlfriend, what is it that he's hiding?
Yeah, that was weird.
There's but I don't think that she's off. He's got some secret in his house. Maybe he's secretly poor.
Maybe.
But I guess he's going to come back, and he comes back and acts like nothing happened.
Well, and then he blames everybody else for what he said, right? The money and the business thing. Right, I didn't say it like that. They took it out of context and all this other gaslighting bullshit. Right?
What is the context where she's going to take all my money and my businesses?
I don't.
How do we hear that in a better way?
You're right. I don't know.
As disappointed as I am with most of these people on the show, I'm the most just fully disgusted by him. Oh. I think there's a lot of emotionally immature people. I think there's a lot of people who do bad things. He's the only person that full on I'm like, he is a bad person. Yeah. There's people that I'm irritated by. Even Ari. I'm really pissed at Ari.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a bad person. I think Josh is a bad person.
Yeah.
So I hope he falls in a well.
He's gross.
He's gross. But yeah. What are any other highlights from next week that we're excited about? Do you think that Julia will actually sleep with Brandon in the honeymoon suite?
I think she will. She said she would, even though he kept saying, you always say later, and later never surfaces, which is probably true.
They did shake on it. He'll at least get a blowjob.
Yeah, she likes that, apparently. So
Well, I think that she likes that she can expedite it. She's like, get it over with.
Yeah. And on that note, until next week, everybody, we will see you again.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.